Good morning, children. Welcome to the English class. How are you all? Hope you all are safe and sound at home. So, children, let me ask you something. Can you tell me which is the biggest tree considering the vastness of it, the area it covers? Can anyone tell me the tree, the biggest tree in the world which spreads out so much? Yes, it's a banyan tree. So banyan tree, you might have all seen on the roadsides and all, a lot of banyan trees are there. The roots will be coming down, it will be holding the tree firmly, isn't it? Okay, so this chapter is the banyan tree. This is the last chapter of your textbook, the banyan tree. And it is written by Ruskin Bond. So Ruskin Bond is actually an Indian author. He's an Indian author but is a British descendant. But he was adopted by an Indian family and he lives in Missouri. Okay, the North India, there he lives. Now, he was born in 1934 and he has received Sahitya Academy Award, Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, etc. And so many awards he has received for his writings. And let me tell you, apart from being an author, okay, he was a poet also, and his story is something which, and this story, about the banyan tree, it's something that he has witnessed when he was a small boy. When he went for a short vacation to his grandfather's house, from there, what he witnessed, that is what we are going to see in this story. So, before moving on to the story, let me ask you, have any one of you seen a fight between a mongoose and a snake? Sometimes you might have seen it in videos or movies. Okay, you have seen it in movies, but have anybody witnessed it directly? Were you a witness to that fight between a mongoose and snake? No, no one. Okay. So anyway, you have seen it. So in this story, the writer of this story, that is Ruskin Bond, when he was a small boy, he happened to see such a fight. And that is what we are going to see in this chapter, the banyan tree. So are you ready for that? Okay. The banyan tree. Though the house and grounds belonged to my grandparents, the magnificent old banyan tree was mine, chiefly because grandfather at 65 could no longer climb it. Now what is Ruskin Bond telling? He's telling that even though the house, that area, everything belongs to his grandparents, that banyan tree belonged only to him because his grandparents were old and so they couldn't climb it. So he was the only person who can climb it. So it was only belonging to him. Its spreading branches, which hung to the ground and took root again, forming a number of twisting passages, gave me endless pleasure. Among them were squirrels and snails and butterflies. The tree was older than the house, older than grandfather, as old as Dehradun itself. I could hide myself in its branches, behind thick green leaves, and spy on the world below. So what is the writer telling here? He's telling that he would sit on this banyan tree. His main pleasure was climbing the banyan tree and sitting there and watching all around. So he was telling that so many snails were there, butterflies were there, squirrels were there who were roaming about on the tree. And he was telling the tree is older than the house and is even older than his grandfather, maybe as old as Dehradun itself. Dehradun is a city in Uttarakhand. Okay. My first friend was a small grey squirrel. Arching his back and sniffing into the air, he seemed at first to resent my invasion to his privacy. But when he found that I did not arm myself with a catapult or air gun, he became friendly. And when I started bringing him pieces of cake and biscuit, he grew quite bold and was soon taking morsels from hand. Before long, he was delving into my pockets and helping himself to whatever he could find. He was a very young squirrel, and his friends and relatives probably thought him foolish and headstrong for trusting a human. So he was telling when he was there on the tree, the first creature, first animal that made friends with him was a small squirrel. So that squirrel, first and all, the squirrel did not like his presence on the tree because he thought that he was coming into his privacy, into his space. But later on, when he understood that the boy is not going to harm him, he slowly started being friends with the writer. So he started bringing cakes for him, biscuits for him. So after what happened, the squirrel itself will go into his pocket and take out whatever he wants. Okay, but what happened? The relatives and friends of this little squirrel thought that he was a fool believing a human being. That is what usually all the animals have think about us. We are dangerous. Human beings cause a danger to them. So he was telling that maybe his relatives also might have thought like that. In the spring, when the banyan tree was full of small red figs, birds of all kinds would flock into its branches. The red-bottomed bulbul, cheerful and greedy parrots, mynas and crows, swabbling with one another. During the fig season, the banyan tree was the noisiest place in the garden. So when spring comes, what happens? When all the flowers, fruits, everything comes out, this banyan tree will be completely covered with figs. That time so many birds will come to have that. And that time, the banyan tree will be the noisiest place in the whole garden. Halfway up the tree, I had built a crude platform where I would spend the afternoons where it was not too hot. I could read there, propping myself up against the tree with a cushion from the living room. Treasure Island, Huckleberry Finn, and the story of Dr. Doolittle were some of the books that made up my banyan tree library. So he's telling that halfway the tree has made a very comfortable place for him to sit. He has brought a cushion from the living room and he has kept it there where he can sit comfortably and he can read books as he like, and he has also set up a library on the banyan tree. When I did not feel like reading, I could look down through the leaves at the world below. And on one particular afternoon, I had a grandstand view of that classic of the Indian wilds, a fight between a mongoose and a cobra. So he's telling sometimes and all he won't feel like reading. He'll be fed up with reading or he'll be bored. He'll like to watch around. So one day like that in the afternoon, when he was sitting like that, he came across a grandstand view. What was that? A fight between a mongoose and a cobra. The warm breezes of approaching summer had sent everyone, including the gardener, into the house. I was feeling drowsy myself, wondering if I should go to the pond and have a swim with Ramu and the buffaloes, when I saw a huge black cobra gliding out of a clump of cactus, and at the same time a mongoose emerged from the bushes and went straight for the cobra. See, what did he see one afternoon? One afternoon he was feeling little bit sleepy because a nice breeze was there, so he was confused whether he should go to the pond and have a swim and all. It was that time when he was having a confusion like that whether he should sit there or go. That time what did he see? He saw a snake crawling and coming from behind the cactus. And that time from the bushes, back of the bushes, who emerged out? A mongoose. Both of them came face to face. In a clearing beneath the banyan tree, in bright sunshine, they came face to face. The cobra knew only too well that the grey mongoose, 3 feet long, was a superb fighter, clever and aggressive. But the cobra too was a skillful and experienced fighter. He could move swiftly and strike with the speed of light, and the sacs behind his long, sharp fangs were full of deadly poison. It was to be a battle of champions. Now what happened? I told you they came face to face. Now the cobra was thinking, this 3 feet mongoose, he's a brilliant fighter, he's very brave, very aggressive. But the cobra is also not bad. He is also a definitely a good fighter. Now, what is their fangs? Fangs means you might have seen the two teeth. Usually when you have a snake bite, you will be seeing two dots like things. No, that is the two teeth, that is called fangs. And behind the fangs will be the poisonous sac. Sac like thing will be there. From that, when the snake bites, the poison will be injected to the body of the prey. Now it is going to be a battle of champions because both of them are not bad in fighting. Hissing defiance, his forked tongue darting in and out, the cobra raised 3 of his 6 feet off the ground and spread his broad spectacled hood. The mongoose bushed his tail. The long hair on his spine stood up. Now both of them were ready for a fight. The cobra was 6 feet long, the 3 feet raised, he raised up and he spread his hood. You know that hood, the front part of the snake, no? He spread his hood and he was ready to attack. His tongue, forked tongue was swaying up inside and out. It was coming out and going inside. At the same time, the mongoose was also not bad. He also, the hair on its body was standing out like spines, just ready for an attack. Though the combatants were unaware of my presence in the tree, they were soon made aware of the arrival of 2 other spectators. One was a myna, the other a jungle crow. They had seen these preparations for battle and had settled on the cactus to watch the outcome. Had they been content only to watch, all would have been well for both of them. Now what happened? This mongoose and the cobra, they didn't know that they had a spectator on the banyan tree. Spectator means a person who is watching something, a game or a show or something like that. So they didn't know that there was a boy sitting on the tree, but they were aware about the other 2 spectators who were sitting on the cactus, a myna and a jungle crow. So they had informed their presence there already, and both of them were ready to watch the outcome of the battle. The cobra stood on the defensive, swaying slowly from side to side, trying to mesmerize the mongoose into making a false move. But the mongoose knew the power of his opponent's glazy, unwinking eyes and refused to meet them. Instead, he fixed his gaze at a point just below the cobra's hood and opened the attack. Now see how brilliant the mongoose is. What did the cobra do? The cobra spread its hood and it started swaying to and fro. So he thought that the mongoose will be mesmerized by that movement. That is what usually the snakes do. But the mongoose was very sharp. He understood his enemy's cunning move. So what did he do? He didn't look at the the snake's hood. Instead, he just switched on his sight to the neck of that snake. Okay, he didn't look anywhere else. He just fixed his sight on to the neck of the cobra. And what did he do? He started an open attack, moving forward quickly until he was just within the cobra's reach. The mongoose made a pretended move to one side. Immediately the cobra stuck. His great hood came down so swiftly that I thought nothing could save the mongoose. But the little fellow jumped neatly to one side and darted in as swiftly as a cobra, biting the snake on the back and darting away again out of reach. Now what happened? This mongoose, it's just made a pretended move. When he made a pretended move, the cobra thought the mongoose was going to attack him and he just came forward to bite the mongoose. That time he swiftly jumped to the other side. Now the cobra just came down. That time what did the mongoose do? He was so brilliant. He again darted onto the cobra and gave a bite on the back of the cobra. At the same moment that the cobra struck, the crow and the myna hurled themselves at him, only to collide heavily in midair. Shrieking insults at each other, they returned to the cactus plant. A few drops of blood glistered on the cobra's back. Now what happened when this cobra just struck the mongoose? It was a missing strike, but still when it struck, this crow and myna, they want to distract the snake. So they came towards the snake, but what happened? Both of them collided each other and they both came back and sat on the cactus again. Now there was few drops of blood on the back of the cobra because the mongoose has already given a bite. The cobra struck and missed. Again the mongoose sprang aside, jumped in and bit. Again the birds chived at the snake, bumped into each other instead and returned shrieking to the safety of the cactus. Now the second time also the cobra came to attack the mongoose, but the mongoose was very fast, very quick in its movement. It again jumped onto the snake and gave another bite. This time also what happened? The myna and the crow came forward to the snake, but they again collided. They gave a shrieking sound and they again returned back to the cactus. Now this was the third round of attack that is going to happen. The third round followed the same course as the first, but with one dramatic difference. The crow and the myna, still determined to take part in the proceedings, dived at the cobra, but this time they missed each other as well as their mark. The myna flew on and reached its perch, but the crow tried to pull up in the midair and turned back. In a second that it took the bird to do this, the cobra whipped his head back and struck with great force, is now thudding against the crow's body. Now the third round, what happened? This time also the myna and the crow thought that they will also be a part in the battle. That is why they are diving towards the cobra to distract the cobra, to disturb them or something. Now this time what happened? The other two times they collided each other and they came back and sat on the cactus tree. But in this third time it was different. They didn't collide each other. Instead what happened? The myna just flew and it went and sat on a branch or something. The crow, it was immediately, it saw the snake coming, so it was just turning back to fly back, but it couldn't. It couldn't by the time the snake bit on its back. It got a bite from the snake and that was a forceful bite, and we will see what happened to the crow. I saw the bird flung nearly 20 feet across the garden. It fluttered about for a while, then lay still. Now what happened to the crow? The crow got the bite from the snake. It just moved 20 feet to the garden. Then it came down onto the floor. It fell to the floor. It just fluttered its wings and all. It just fluttered its wings for a while, and after that it lay still. That means the crow was dead. Now what happened? We'll see what the myna has done. The myna remained on the cactus plant, and when the snake and the mongoose returned to the fight, very wisely decided not to interfere again. And now what did the myna decide now? 2 times they went for interfering, 3 times they went. The third time the crow got a bite from the snake and it was dead. Now the myna thought it is very wise not to interfere again and sit here and watch what is going to happen. The cobra was weakening and the mongoose walking fearlessly up to it, raised himself on his short legs and with a lightning snap had the big snake by the snout. The cobra withered and lashed about in a frightening manner and even coiled itself about the mongoose, but to no avail. Now what happened? This was the third round of attack between them. This time the snake was getting weakened, but the mongoose was as strong as it was at the beginning. So the mongoose came, he just got hold of the hood of the snake. The snake started doing all the things. It wanted to save himself from the hold of the mongoose, but it couldn't. Even coiled around the mongoose, but it was to no avail. To no avail is an idiom. You have learned idioms, isn't it? So to no avail is an idiom. The meaning is it did not succeed. Okay, it did not succeed. It just coiled on the mongoose, hoping that the mongoose will leave him, but it did not succeed. The mongoose just got hold of the snake without leaving it. The little fellow hung grimly on until the snake had ceased to struggle. He then smelt along its quivering length, gripped it round the hood, and dragged it into the bushes. But what did the mongoose do? It did not leave the snake till he understood that the snake has stopped struggling. That means the snake has completely weakened. It can't do anything alone at all. So once the snake has stopped struggling, what did the mongoose do? It just dragged the snake, it smelt it, and it dragged the snake to behind the bushes. The myna dropped cautiously to the ground, hopped about, peered into the bushes from a safe distance, and then with a shrill cry of congratulation flew away. Now what might have happened at the back of the bush? The mongoose might have killed the snake. Now the snake will be laying dead at the back of the bushes. Now what did the myna do? He wanted to know what is the outcome of the battle. For that they were waiting till this time. Now the myna came from the cactus, hopped, and it just went back to the bushes a little bit in a safe distance. It didn't want the snake or the mongoose to attack him. So from a safe distance, it just watched. And what did it do? It flew away as if congratulating the mongoose, because the mongoose won the battle. It killed the snake. So usually when a mongoose and a snake used to have a fight like this, wherever we see that, usually 99% I think it is the mongoose who wins the battle, because mongoose, their movements are very fast and quick. So by that moments they will make the snake weakened. Okay, the snake will become weakened, and that is how they conquer their enemy. So that is the story. So all those things, writer Ruskin Bond is watching everything sitting on the banyan tree. He was also a part of it, even though the components, that people who were fighting, they didn't know the presence of this boy there, but he was also a spectator there. So children, please read the chapter and try to comprehend the question answers coming after the chapter and even in between the chapter. Okay, hope you all understood the lesson and enjoyed the story. Thank you so much and have a great day.